Hello everyone and welcome to another video with a deep look onto Murat. This time in a different form. This time we look at a replay of a game I played versus Resman and have a look on all the changes that happened with Murat within this game. And the divisions played are the 8th US Infantry by me, because I wanted to check out if the new changes make them playable again, how mech rifles and so on perform. And on the left side, Rasman plays the new 4th Motorisierte Schützendivision of the NVA. And one thing you can see here is that he has a couple new units deployed forward. The Fallschirmjäger Push can be deployed forward, which is a scary thing. And I'm not super sure if I like it, but it's for sure an interesting thing to test out, and that's what early access is for, I guess. And so the infantry ATGMs are deployed forward. As you can see, a heck of a lot of stuff being deployed forward here. PT-76s as well, and Fallschirmjäger Einsatztruppen, together with a lot of Fagots on my side. A couple of Jägeraufklärers, some Bradleys as well, to try to hold the line on 2 lakes with its 2 zones. One thing for the blue side is that you can pretty early on can pretty easily push in here and then try to shut down the reinforcement road over here. But once you're pushed out of here, you obviously are pushed into the open field, so you really want to hold this. And yeah, down here a lot of Fagots coming for the open field. On my end, one M1 goes to the south. I try to secure the north. I will bring in some of my ATGM units as well, with the TOW 2 here. Another TOW 2 going to the north. Meanwhile, Mi8 recon helicopter coming in on the other side. Infantry fight over here will be won by my Jägeraufklärers. And my Bradley is using its TOW 2s on the PT-76s, and they shouldn't stay here, because obviously TOW 2s are deadly for only 2 armor vehicle. Like, TOW 2s are deadly to most vehicles, light armored ones for 100%. So Resman loses both of these. Tries to retaliate with the Fagots though, but I realized it in time, unloading my gunners, the new 3 MG infantry squad, to try to hold out here, to try to first of all keep Fagots out of here, and then maybe be able to push onto this town. My plan was on holding out in the north, keeping him from shutting down my road, and then trying to push into the south later. But M1 gets the kill on the Fagot. Fagot versus M1 also not the greatest matchup, as the Fagot only has 16 penetration versus 15 frontal armor, so you don't deal significant amount of damage, especially from further away. Meanwhile, in the north though, my Jägeraufklärers get a bit decimated here. Microed them not good enough. Should have microed them out of the building. Didn't do so, so for now Resman controls this area, puts a lot of pressure onto my northern town. LRS moving into this building to keep a line of sight onto the northern part as well, as this one doesn't quite do that. M60s and a MUT on the way to secure the point. Here in the rear, Resman came in with some Einsatztruppe with the law, the American false flag unit. Or the GDR false flag unit with American equipment, that way around, is the correct way to say so. But I at least realized it and brought in some of my helicopters, because I thought first I saw the helicopter shooting, but then I realized, damn it, nope, it was infantry that he brought in. So I brought in some infantry to deal with it as well. Cluster bomber luckily doesn't hit anything, as he misremembered where my M1 went. So my M1 survives for now, but obviously have to be careful with the cluster bombers. Around. Jäger Aufklärers here. I'm not sure what happened there. I've mismicroed them out of the buildings here, and that was a big mistake. Losing some recon there. TOW2 though will be capable of shooting down everything that comes over this open terrain. 25 penetration, 2,600 meters. The Fagot, for example, only has 2,400. So really long range ATGM. The Conquerors also have as much range, but less penetration. The Milans only have 2,400 as well. Resman keeps the pressure up on the northern town. I have some mech rifles in here, couple of Jägers, couple of engineer flashes, but maybe those a bit too far forward. Maybe I should keep them a bit further in the depth of the town, so that they're not being shot from the outskirts. But Resman is bringing in some of the cheap tanks that you get as the 4th, which are but sadly also the only tanks you get as 4th motorisierte Schützen. Only T-55s for you. At least 4 different versions of them, but even the best T-55 is not a high quality tank in 1989, so you will struggle in prolonged tank fights against heavier vehicles, and I think that's one of the reasons why this matchup is pretty good for the 8th. And overall, I feel like with now mech rifles, or like MG3s nerfed and infantry overall being more on par again, I feel like 8th might be the best division again, as M1s, M60s and M1A1s really are good all-around balance of tanks. And you have a solid mix of infantry with cheap units like the Jägers, like the engineers with flash, and then high-end ATGM infantry like the mech rifles, which you miss in 5th Panzer and 2nd Panzer Grenadier. And in my book, the ranking will go 8th Infantry, 5th Panzer, 2nd Panzer Grenadier, 5th Panzer, and then 39th, and then 7th NVR division. And 4th, I don't think is a great division, because they lack the capabilities of dealing with heavy tanks. They have cluster bombers, but Chaparral's dealt with those. And has only got an M60, so it wasn't worthwhile in the end. Resman by now also has secured the south. I got 300 points, but obviously with the push coming in here, I have to be worried about more than points. Good trades is what I need, but as I said, lost my units on the outskirts, because I had them too far out, and the PT-76s are pretty efficient over time in dealing with infantry for 40-point units. Really good unit in the NVR division. Recon tab, one of the redeeming factors of that division for sure, but I'm not sure if that's good enough to really make them work. But maybe you can do some cheesy stuff with them. We will got to see how it plays out. Stingers coming in. Stingers and Chaparral's the only AA you really got in that division. You can use pivots as well, but I'm not the biggest fan of pivots. Me too. Getting hit over here. But as small arms fire isn't reduced in damage, they also don't deal as much damage to unarmored helicopters anymore. The infantry. Though infantry fights now at least take a while. I still microed badly, but at least I was able to micro in the north. Like, I should have done so much better than I did. Lost my Chaparrals here now. Mutt also getting hit in the infantry fights. Good push here though, so far by Resman. Putting me under heavy pressure. Schützen moving forward. TOW2 here in the north, trying to shut down the reinforcement road. Is slightly out of position. If it would be a bit further to the north, it would have a better line of sight of the full road. Supply truck coming in, more infantry being called in. But Resman brings in a lot of infantry in the rear as well, to try to lock down the town. Meanwhile, in the south, has a big tank push set up as well. Cluster bomber being recalled, as he's not quite sure where my M1 went to. And good that he didn't drop the cluster there, because M1 wasn't there anymore. In the end he still dropped it there, okay. M1 was moved behind. Stingers tried to get the shutdown, only one hits though. So the SU-22 will get out alive. Units here have been dealt with, but it forced me to unload 2 mech rifles and they lost their transports, so they had to move to the front line. Jäger was kept here to defend against any other units coming up there maybe. But that meant I had quite a bit fewer units on the front line, which is one of the reasons why Resman was allowed to get the northern town so easily. Jäger's now trying to force their way in, to at least have a holdout bridgehead on the outskirts of the town, as Resman is reloading the BTRs and the Mudschützen over here. Mudschützen with 3 MGs. As most divisions now have a unit like this as another option. A heavy fire support unit that is good to either support pushes from behind or hold the line. TOW 2 and M1 though, dealing with the T-55, and M1 versus T-55 is such a bad matchup for the NVA. T-55s struggle heavily against this relatively cheap tank. TOW 2's now also engaging the BT-76s. LRS helping out as well. Conquerors arrived. Change here. They have now mediocre stealth. All the ATGM vehicles. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see a Smersh coming in. Trying to hit my Chaparrals, I guess. But they are not there anymore. Alpha Jet gets its bombs off. It eliminates 2 infantry squadrons. Really important for a 50-point unit. That was done really well. Coop trying to hit it, but not finding the connection. And Coop, only one Coop here for Resman, and relying on a single Coop for shooting down planes. It's not the most efficient AA. You have long range, and I should have gotten this out. Keeping this around was a big mistake, but I still went lucky, as this has 20 ECM, and you only have 40 accuracy. Reduced by 20 ECM, that goes down even lower. So, not the best idea. T-55 push here by Resman, maybe also a bit over-eager. Gets hit by the Bradley. Already a couple down. The rest has to retreat. Einsatzgruppe over here tried to give some recon for him. Meanwhile, I moved these engineers in there, but they got stuck with the Einsatzgruppen as well. M1 now trying to help out from up north, getting some hits on one of them, stunning them down, but it takes a while to kill them off. Meanwhile, Bradley gets sniped by the 255 AM2B, which also has an ATGM. The highest level of T-55 you get for 80 points. M1 still around though. HE bomber dropping its bombs as well. Dodged by Resman though. Disengaging with the Einsatzgruppe. Mech rifles still pushing. Meanwhile in the north, Resman still at a +3, but at least I was able to bring in a MUT again to slow it down somewhat. But the pressure was still up here. More infantry coming in for Resman. Jäger's at least getting a kill on some of the Spähwagen 70s. On the BTRs. Getting annihilated afterwards though by the Mudschützen. And the Spähwagens 14mm. But at least all the Spähwagens fall afterwards. Chaparral with another kill. Infantry here is somewhat even. So both sides will still need to reinforce there, but me especially, because I need to stop the tick. +3 tick obviously is quite harsh, so you need to change that somewhat quickly. Can't afford a +6 for more than a minute or so at all, as those are 240 points per minute, currently 120 points per minute for Resman. Mech rifles coming around in the south. M1A1 here, and M1 is already a bad matchup for T-55. M1A1 is just on another level. They basically deal no damage to it whatsoever and get one-shotted all the time. As well, most of the time. Mech rifles over here versus Einsatzgruppe. Another mech rifle finding a kill on a Spähwagen. M1 set up here to help out as well. as my idea was, okay, I don't feel like I can clean out this town. So let's try to maybe find a weak spot down here and maybe try to get CV in here to contest this point. Mech rifle on the way in, and as you can see, there's not too much here for Resman to stop this push, as he took a couple of casualties and obviously wanted to reinforce the push in the north more so. M1 over here will fall. Chaparral tries to get the kill. Stinger in the south helping out, and the SU-32 cluster falls once more. AA of 8th is not amazing in preventing you from getting hit, but at least the retaliation is mostly there. So, able to clean up there. Meanwhile, F-16 trying to hunt down the Mi-24. The only AA on the field is the Coupe. So, the F-16 will be able to come around for one more round. As in the north, we have a Mi-8 with gun pods coming in. A really interesting unit. Unique unit here for this division. With solid firepower. This gunship. Mi-24 goes down to the F-16. M1 smoked itself off to not get hit by the Mi-24 beforehand. Now can come around it once more. Whilst another Fagot is moving up here. Infantry trying to come up. Chaparrals will not allow the Mi-8 to hit anything. Take a while to get the kill. MiG-29 came around, but F-16 disappeared fast enough. Whilst the M1 once more has a good matchup versus D-55s, especially as it is backed up by the TOW-2. So really putting the pressure on here. And the tank fights are just so hard to win. And as I got a lot of cluster bombers already, the options for dealing with the tanks for Resman start to fade away. And that's really the problem of the 4th motorisierte Schützen, dealing with tanks like Leopard 1A5s and Leopard 2s and M1s. Like the really expensive tanks, they might not be cost efficient enough. Those you can still overspam maybe, but the M1s, the Leopard 1A5s, you have big troubles with dealing with. So not sure what else you have. I guess you can use the Conqueror's ATGM against it. The Forgotten, as I said, not really the solution. But those he obviously used to check out how it works with the frontal deployment. It was not too decisive in this game, so... But in some matchups and on some maps this might be completely busted. We will have to see how it works out. Mech rifles over here. Finding a BMP. And that's really the great combination of 8th. You get mech rifles with ATGMs that you can have on positions like this, and in the town you still have cheap Jägers and so on to deal with those town fights. I forgot to put in Pioneers in my deck, so town fights are a bit harder than they should be. But on the other side, Resman also has no Pioneers, so his infantry is also mostly baseline Modschützen in their different forms. The BTR version, the no Modschützen version, and then the Modschützen with 3 LMGs plus the ATGMs in the infantry tab. As infantry tab now are a bit more varied. Deck building in the infantry department is a lot more fun now, as there's more choices to do, to take. Modschützen here getting bullied back. Gunners keep the fire on. Jäger coming in here as well. Modschützen versus mech rifles. But the mech rifle here got the snipe on Resman's CV, so back up to a +3 we are. More mech rifles coming in and keeping the road on lockdown here. Which is the strength of the red side, I would say, that you can push through this forest into this position. It's a bit slower than the blue side, so blue side really has the advantage up here. Pushing into this is really quick. And then the enemy is forced to either come through here or come through the long way around over here. As this is not a spawn road up here. Ah, you don't see the spawn arrows in the... Oh no, you see the spawn arrows here. Here you see. In the back spawn. There is none up here, so it's a bit tough. Meanwhile, I tried to use artillery, but as you can see, didn't hit anything. But Resman was forced to reinforce into the south now, instead of reinforcing the town, so my infantry was able to hold out here, and maybe get ready for counter push later on. Whilst I still also focused my efforts on securing my southern push. M1 getting hit. My rifle has to retreat. Yeah, I was a bit surprised that he didn't invest more into the north. I guess he already thought he would have won there, because the T-55 push here, I think, was so far the biggest mistake, and allowing me to get into this comeback position after he first pushed me in the north and put me under a lot of pressure. I still traded till this point, still, like, he pushed me, but I think we traded equally at that point still, but he was in a really close position to getting me out of this town, so I thought he would just keep the pressure up and really try to push me out of there. But it didn't quite work out for him that way, so I was able to come back. Aufklärers here getting hit. And now he has the same problem. Has to find a way in here. I didn't really shut down this northern section though, so there is a way into the town. Down here, mech rifles also out of ATGMs, but that's obviously also not a great sign that they got to shoot 8 ATGMs at him. Meanwhile, the T-55 leader unit is holding the northern section, whilst more mech rifles come in, together with some engineers with dragons, the cheaper version of your light ATGM infantry. In the rear, over here now, a lot of Mudschützen coming in for Resman. And one moving forward. And really, these are the biggest trouble. TOW2s also, in this game and also in one or two other games I've played so far, the high-level ATGMs are scary. The high-level ATGMs are really scary. Fagots, I guess you gotta get them in good position. I don't know if the open ground in the center is one of them. At least not against M1. Maybe against other, like, divisions with... Maybe against Leopard ones with less frontal armor and so on. A position like this also can work well. But against the M1, it didn't work out that amazingly. Gunners have arrived here as well. It's the BMP plus Mudschützen trying to get the comeback here. And the game was really really good back and forth, so really feeling the pressure there. Speerwagen though, getting killed off. And I now realized there's not much infantry here. So let's try to push through with the Jägers. SPG 9 goes down. T-55 under pressure, and obviously if this falls, Resman would be down against the +6, and that would put a really fast timer on him. M1 over here, dealing with the Aufklärers. T-55s coming in big numbers, but there is an M1 down here. There is now also a TOW2 down here, so this will be problematic. TOW2 finds the kill on one T-55 already. T-55s have to find another angle. Trying to hit the infantry over here now. That is holding these city blocks at the outskirts of the town. Infantry made it in halfway. But only 3 of the 6 squadrons that were sent in here. These though will annihilate the push over here. M1 out of position. Good snipe there. Motschützen with the RPG 7VL. Have a solid RPG there. Good anti-tank weapon for the CQC. And you also get some Matty's Fallschirmjägers in the 4th. So that's another unit that you might be able to use. The Smersh. And 1v1 rocket artillery still doesn't feel amazing. But I know that in team games artillery is quite a bit better. So I don't know if a direct buff to artillery is a good idea, because that might be bad for the play in team games. So maybe we have to find other solutions, but currently Merges and Coda don't feel amazing. Meanwhile, it's a +6, so Resman has to find a solution for the problem in front of him quickly. But it's not looking great here. T-55 is getting hit by the engineers with Dragon. And basically everything here can kill the T-55 really easily. Like, too many ATGMs, too many M60s, too many M1s. The matchup feels really rough for the 4th. But infantry still moving behind my lines here. Coming in for some sneaky sneak. And finding my mud. And this is really annoying. Losing my CV here. So pressure is still up. T-55s are around. Watchitson now though getting somewhat overwhelmed by the infantry around them. As I still have a lot of infantry over here. So gunners trying their best to kill off the Watchitson here. So on the 1v1 they won't win at this point, but more infantry on the way. O2 still around. SU-22 with cluster. Finding an amazing hit on 2 M1s. Not getting shut down by the shop rolls this time. So T-55s could now come in, but the TOW-2 still a troublemaker. T-55s get a good hit though. Get a crit and make it rout, and are able to finish it off afterwards. Thanks to the Aufklärers spotting the TOW-2 at the first place. T-55s on their own obviously wouldn't have seen that, as it has exceptional optics. Meanwhile, I bring in some artillery as well. Yeah, trying to hit the infantry, but it's dead already. And as you can see, situation is looking pretty stellar now for me. And as I said, I feel like 8th is now really back on the menu again, after the issue with the infantry has been solved. Infantry fights also overall taking a significant amount longer. I still would say they might need to slow down still a slight bit, but we first have to play more with this patch, obviously, and hopefully we all can do together soon. There are only a few couple of bugs, I would say, that we have found so far in this build that need fixing before this can go live, hopefully. Hopefully we don't find any more. And yeah, then I hope we can all play Murat together. And I can get this to play more in ranked, because for me, no matter if I lose or win, like even if I get stomped by Pixie or Resman, I still had a lot more fun than previously with WARNO on this patch so far. It's a lot more enjoyable due to the infantry fights now having good pace. ATGMs also feel like a good addition, and the slower airplanes also make a good difference. Yeah, there's obviously still a lot to go for this game to become amazing, but it's on a good way, I would say. Not quite on the speed that we all hoped for. Also not on the speed that Eugen hoped for, obviously. Murat being delayed as much as it has been. But it's on a good way. Meanwhile here though, Resman with a lot of T-55s. Coming in here for one push here to try to stop me, as I'm getting really close. +6, as I said, is a big issue. And yeah, T-55s on their own versus a single M1, and the M1 together with a bit of infantry still completely annihilates them. You can see 1 damage per hit only on the M1, whilst the M1 one-shots the T-55. Helicopters now coming in as well, so yes, this is over. And I take the W here in this matchup. Kulaks still could profit from a couple more zones, but I hope you like the look on how Murat will change balance, how Murat brings in new stuff like the fagots in forward deployment, and how infantry fights are now a bit more manageable and microable as well. And yeah, hope to see you all on the battlefield with Murat soon. If you liked the video, consider giving it a like, and if you want to see more, don't forget to follow and maybe click that bell button. Ha, such a classic YouTuber thing to say. And then see you all in the next one. Bye bye.